We'll go on to Jose in Georgia. How you doing, Jose? You're on with Objectively Dan and Matt.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Dan. Well, Matt, I called about 2 weeks ago. I know you go through lots of different calls, but basically our call got a little bit hostile, I believe. I guess I came off kind of like an asshole. And
I might have come off as an asshole as well. That happens a lot. Let's just forget all that. Let's just forget all that. And today's a new day.
Okay. Let's go. Well, so it all started with me calling to say that, I feel like when people start to talk about, their experiences with the Holy Spirit and what they genuinely felt, I felt that you were very, you seem to dismiss.
Yes.
That.
So here's it's really easy, Jose. If two people come to me and tell me that they've had experiences with the Holy Spirit, how do I tell which of them is correct?
I think you've been able to talk with people that have been genuine, and you take them on their word. I mean, I understand that.
No, I just said, if two people come to me and tell me they've had contact with the Holy Spirit, how do I tell which one of them is correct?
I guess it would just be upon you to decide whether who you chose to believe.
But you don't choose what you believe. They have to present some case that is ultimately compelling.
You say you don't choose to believe, but Matt, that's not necessarily true.
It is necessarily true. I'm sorry that you don't believe it. I'd like to be able to convince you. Why don't you just choose to believe that I'm right when I say you can't choose to believe?
Why don't I just choose to see if you're right?
No, I'm saying you can't choose beliefs, and you think you can. So I want you to choose to believe that you can't choose beliefs.
Again, do you understand, Matt? When you talk to somebody, it's like you're not talking like a normal person with somebody. Like, I understand you're a host, I understand you have all this knowledge, but when you come off like that, it's like you come off to trip somebody that isn't,
I asked, no, sir. I asked a straightforward question. Two people come up and tell me that they experience the Holy Spirit. How do I tell which of them is correct?
According to you, you would know, right? According to you.
I'm asking you, would you stop trying to speak for me? This is why things got hostile. I'm asking a legitimate question. How do you tell whether or not something is true? And you have yet to come anywhere near an answer. You just keep accusing me of bad things in your mind. Would you answer the question?
Okay, if it was up to me, if two people came up to me and told me their stories as far as like they both experienced the Holy Spirit, and then I had to decide, well, it depends on the person, Matt. It depends on, how that person is approaching me with what they have to say. I would take them on their word if they
Okay, then I heard from the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit says you're wrong.
And that's what I'm talking about.
You gonna take me at my word?
Well, obviously not you, because.
Oh, so I don't count. All right, well then I'll let Dan ask you, because maybe Dan hasn't heard from the Holy Spirit. But if you're just going to say that depends on the person, and I'll probably just take him at the word, none of those things that you described are reliable paths to actually. Do you care whether or not you're correct, whether or not your beliefs are true?
Absolutely.
I don't think that's true, because if you care about whether or not your beliefs are true, then you want a method. If you care about whether your beliefs are true, then you want to find a method that will reliably tell you whether or not something is true. And just going with your gut and trusting a person based on your own intuitions is not a reliable path, because you can be fooled.
Paint me as a gullible person. I get how it works.
I'm not painting you as a gullible person. To whatever extent you're being painted as gullible, it's you doing it, saying that you're just going to take somebody at their word.
No, absolutely not. Because, Matt, before, when you believed, you felt you experienced the Holy Spirit. And if somebody had told you,
correct,
no, you're full of crap, you would have been.
That's not what I said. That's not remotely in the fucking ballpark of what I said. I didn't say you're full of crap. I said,
you don't have to cuss at me.
I can fucking cuss as much as I fucking want on my own fucking show. Do not tell me how to fucking speak ever fucking again, or I will fucking hang up on your fucking ass. We fucking clear?
Wow, I mean, really?
Yeah, really. I'm trying to have a decent conversation with you.
I'm at the mercy of your thumb from hanging up on me. I'm at the mercy. So do you see the disadvantages there as far as...
Have I hung up on you yet, despite the fact that I would be justified in doing it? I keep asking straightforward questions and you keep deflecting. And now you're worried about what fucking language I use and telling me not to fucking curse. I asked how to tell the difference between two people who made a claim to figure out whether or not something's true. That's all I've asked this whole time.
No, I can't. I cannot distinguish whether somebody's telling the truth.
There you go.
And I understand how you break apart and tear apart what faith is. But Matt, you as an atheist now, I don't know if you ever truly have faith, but do you understand what the power, how that allows somebody to
I'm sorry, you broke up there. Can you say that again? Do I understand what?
I said, do you understand what like the actual power of faith truly is? Now I believe you may not, unless, like I mentioned before, where I got hung up on 2 weeks ago.
I do not
deny as far as what faith means to somebody.
I want you to tell me. So I understand that faith is important to you, but what do you mean by faith?
It's important to a lot more people. Not
I
just
don't care. Jake, please, Jose, sorry. I don't care if it's important. The fact that something's important to people doesn't tell you whether or not it's true. What do you mean by faith?
Okay, faith, as far as like you don't necessarily have to know 100% whether it's true or not. You understand? I know you keep saying faith is not a legitimate pathway to truth. I understand every way that you've broken that down, but faith in something. How can you just close that door in our face and say no, you didn't experience this?
Jose, I'm going to stop talking right after I say this, and I'm just going to let you deal with Dan. I have never closed that door. You continually...
You did.
I'm going to hang up on you if you fucking interrupt me. You continually misrepresent my position. All I've done is ask how to tell whether or not something is true. I have not said that you're wrong. I have not said that your faith is wrong. I have not said that your position is wrong. I have asked you how to demonstrate it. And this is important because if you actually care about whether or not your beliefs are true, then you want to actually find out what methods most likely lead to truth. If you think that I have no objection to believing things without being certain, because I don't think we can be absolutely certain about anything. But belief in the absence of certainty, the type of faith that you're talking about, is not the problem. The problem is, what is the reason for the belief? And does it justify the belief? Because if you just go with it because it feels right, that's not a path to truth. And now,
what were you going to say there, Jose? And I'll talk to you here.
I mean, as long as you don't cuss at me, I guess that it would be
goodbye, jackass. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't tell me how to talk to you. You told Dan. So I'll let Dan decide whether or not.
Okay. I was like, he's still on. Were you going to hang up on him? What's up, Jose? I'll say this much, right? So I grew up, I grew up my teenage years around the Baptist church, right? And one thing that the Baptists like to talk about is they like to talk about Pentecostals. I don't know why they like talking about other denominations. And a Baptist will be the first one to tell you that what the Pentecostals are doing, like, isn't legit, right? Like these kind of speaking in tongues and these other experiences that they have,
that's ridiculous. Speaking in tongues, I mean, I'm me and you can pretty much say that's crazy.
But Jose, millions of people believe that's true. Millions of people, Jose, right?
Okay, but do you believe it? You believe it, though.
Jose, listen.
Would it be
all those
say that
Jose?
That's ridiculous.
Come on, listen. You think it's ridiculous, right? Matt and I might think whatever belief you have is ridiculous too. You have to understand it's a matter of perspective, okay? Like, yeah, the speaking in tongues stuff, we might be able to say that, but we didn't grow up that way. If you and I grew up that way and everybody around us were having those experiences, we might be more inclined to believe it. Now, I grew up in a Baptist tradition, kind of Methodist Baptist mix. And so I believe that a lot of the Methodist Baptist theology and their practices were legit too. Now, I don't think that, I don't take much stock in it. But the reason why I don't, right, is because I, like Matt was saying, had to figure out reliable methods for figuring out what's true and what's not. And I'll tell you this much. The reasoning that Pentecostals use for their spiritual experiences is not much better than the reasoning that Baptists, Methodists, or any other Christian sects use to justify their experiences.
I understand that. And thank you for putting it in a way where you're not trying to make me sound like I'm an idiot. I appreciate that. But it comes down to what you
I have a question.
Based on
Jose, are you suggesting that I'm trying to make you look like an idiot?
If I answer, am I going to get hung up on by you, or is it still up to Dan?
It's up to Dan, but were you suggesting that I'm trying to make you look like an idiot?
Matt, why are you, how can you?
Are you going to answer my question? Are you suggesting that I'm trying to make you look like an idiot?
You take a very hostile line against
Jose, are you suggesting that I'm trying to make you look like an idiot?
I think that's what's on here.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I.
Are you suggesting? Were you suggesting that I am trying to make you look like an idiot?
It's more than a suggestion at this point, man. I think it's very obvious.
Okay. What did I do to make you look like an idiot?
Okay. So the difference in when I spoke with Dan is he put something out in front of me very, he wasn't trying to spoon feed me anything. He wasn't making it.
What did I do, Jose, when you called? Didn't I just ask you a question about how to demonstrate the truth of something, which you avoided and then started making accusations about me?
No, it's not avoiding, Matt. It's that certain people do not talk the way you do as far as like a
then you shouldn't have fucking called this show, should you? Because if I'm going to ask questions about how you demonstrate the truth of your beliefs, don't suggest that my goal is to make you look like an idiot. My goal is to make you either demonstrate the truth of your proposition or realize that you've made a mistake.
It's not like a game of chess. That's how you're putting it down.
It absolutely is a game of chess. It is a game of chess. It is a game of logic. It is absolutely, if I ask you to demonstrate something, it's because you made a fucking claim, and it's important for us to figure out whether or not that claim's true, right?
Can I just, hello?
Are you going to answer my question?
I am. Yes, I understand that. I understand that completely.
So please explain what I did to make you, to show that I want to make you look like an idiot. Because what I want is for you to realize that you're making yourself look like an idiot.
How? By explaining to you an honest, genuine feeling that me and millions of other people experience?
No, by refusing to answer the question about how to tell the difference between something.
I gave him on their word. As far as
it took quite a while to get you to say that you're going to take people on your word. Then I asked a question to demonstrate why taking someone at their word is not a good methodology. Do you think that taking people at their word is a good way to get to the truth?
It has. It definitely has some value there as far as talking to somebody and judging their character. Would you not agree?
Taking someone at their word is not a reliable path to truth. Taking someone at their word is likely to result in you being conned, correct?
Not necessarily.
No.
Easily conned.
Okay, stop.
Oil salesman. It's not like that. It's not that simple.
Stop. If you just run around merely taking people at their word, is it likely that you're going to be conned?
No, I don't believe so. And it has.
You are wrong. And that's why you wouldn't take me at my word. I tell you what, mail me $1,000 and I promise I'll mail you $10,000 back in a week. You take me at my word?
Gosh.
You take me at my word?
Absolutely not.
Good. Then you just agreed with me that taking people at their word is not a reliable path to truth, which means there must be something else that you have to take into consideration, not just their word, right?
Right.
Okay, so what is the other thing? That's what I've been asking. What is the other thing that is not just their word that demonstrates you should accept their claim?
Okay, so fair enough. And I said faith because whether you believe it or not, I've had people explain to me certain things that they've experienced. I went on about my day, went to sleep, woke up, and I just had like a sign. I'm not saying that I'm a prophet, but I'm not saying that crazy stuff. All I'm saying is, you will have different little hints or clues to.
I'm asking you what those. You're just going with. You'll have little hints and clues. I just want to know what they are. Because if we're going to have a methodology to figure out whether or not somebody's telling us the truth, it can't just be we take them at their word, and we need something a little more than hints or clues. That's all I've been asking the whole time is, how do we do this? And if your answer, Jose, is that you don't know, that's fine. But if we're going to have a conversation about how to tell whether something's true, that's important.
I don't know this. I don't know that.
It's hard to hear you, Jose. Can you repeat? Because you got garbled there a bit.
Yeah. I'm just saying it always goes back to, I don't know. I mean, then when are you going to get to something that how are we going to be able to, I don't know.
It's a good question, right? Like, how do we figure out when can we say that we know something for sure? Can we even say that we know something?
How do you know,
sure,
Dan?
Right?
Dan, how do you know then? How do you know anything, Dan?
How does he know what?
How do I know? Yeah, like what? How do I know I'm not a brain in a vat? Right? Like we can go that whole route.
Exactly.
I think
hard solaces. Then we don't
sure,
know. We don't know.
Sure,
that
but
anything. We don't know.
Would you agree though, Jose, that there are some methods that are better than others in figuring out whether something is true?
Of course there is.
Sure.
That's why I know. That's why I put one foot. When anybody puts their jeans on, you use one foot first and the other one.
Sure. So if we're talking about these personal experiences with the Holy Spirit, right? How can we be sure that we're using the best methods to know that the experiences that we have are
the best method? It's not about having a best method. You know what you feel and you know what it is.
But our feelings are unreliable, right? Our feelings don't always tell us what's true about reality, right?
Unreliable. Okay, they're unreliable,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you don't know for sure, what you're experiencing.
Sure. I mean, like I can freak myself out because I just watched a scary movie and I think somebody's at my door.
It's not the same,
right?
It's not the same thing.
Why is it not the same? What makes it different? Just tell me what makes it different.
Same thing.
I'm curious. What makes it different?
Are you afraid of Chucky, Dan? Dan, are you afraid of Chucky and a vampire coming through your
no
in your room? And
I don't know what that has to do with anything, though.
It has a lot to do with it because you're saying this is many years you've been to church. I've been to church.
Sorry, you broke up.
Yeah, you broke up.
Say that again. What are we afraid of?
I'm saying what I said was that when Matt was.
Sorry,
you broke up again.
We're having some connection issues. We can't really hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Try one more time.
Okay, one more time, and then I'll let you guys go. When I was saying that when Matt would go to church and he, was a Baptist and what he felt was true in his heart, he experienced something that you're telling me that now. Oh, how do you know that was what you felt? Of course, man, you felt it, and to an extent, that's where this conversation went spiraled out of control last time. Because I think you're in denialism.
Yeah, Jose, I'll tell you this. When I was in college, I had a very intimate, I would have used the language as spiritual experience with some Hare Krishnas. They're Hindus, right? I grew up again as a Christian. But I had this meditation session with them, and by golly, I felt something in that. And up until that point, I would have used the Christian language to describe what that experience was. But I realized maybe people of other cultures, they can experience this thing and they've just been using the language that they've been, grown up understanding to describe it. And maybe it's something else. At the time I thought maybe it's pointing to something more universal, right, to all humans. But as I kind of started to read more, I figured out, oh, wow, like brain science is actually telling us, well, we can actually activate some of these experiences on our own. Like sometimes we could have what we might call spiritual experiences, just doing completely secular activities, nothing religious about it. And so to me, that's why these experiences aren't very reliable methods to understanding anything, because if I can incite that experience manually without having any special ritual, what does that tell me about reality? Does it tell me that there's something mystical or magical out there? Or does it tell me that I have a biological system that responds to certain stimuli? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that I can get behind that.
And I have to chime in here for a second because I'm not in denial. I fully acknowledge and have repeatedly acknowledged that I experienced things. It's just that when I was a believer, I attributed those things to the Holy Spirit like everybody else around me. And now I recognize that I never had good reason to believe that it was the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I don't deny the fact that there was some experience. The thing that I care about is what was the actual source and cause of that experience. And there's no reason to think that it was a Holy Spirit when I can have those same experiences from art, from poetry, from drugs, from sex, from food.
It's not the same experience. You cannot mix it with drugs and
Jose,
no, that's not.
Stop telling me what my fucking experience was like. Yours may be different. I'm not talking about yours.
I am
Jose.
not. Hold on a second.
Jose, am I talking about your experience or mine?
Hold a second. Hold on.
No, you hold a second and answer my question. Am I talking about my experience or yours?
Hello?
Am I talking about my experience or yours?
Okay, hold on a second.
No, answer my question or we're done. Am I talking about my experience or yours?
Your experience.
Thank you. And if I'm talking about my experience, you can't tell me anything about my experience, can you? Hello?
I guess the call just dropped there.
It didn't drop. It still shows up in Call-In Studio. It still shows him on the line.
Yeah, you're right. That's weird.
Jose, are you still there?
All right. Well,
just in case he picks back up, I want to continue this because you and I get it, and I'm desperately trying to make sure that Jose gets it. But it seems like every time I start to talk about my experience, Jose wants to tell me that I'm delusional or that no, you know what you experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and neither did you, and neither does anybody. I don't know what is the method to figure out whether or not I experienced something or what it was, what the source was. Are you there, Jose?
Yeah, did you put me on mute?
No, we were talking and you've had connection issues. You're back. All I'm saying is I had an experience. I don't know what it was. You don't know what my experience was. So stop trying to tell me about my experience. If you want to tell me about your experience, that's fine.
No, but you're trying to stop me from telling you're trying
No,
to.
No, sir, I'm not.
Yes,
I don't know.
I don't. Matt.
I'm not.
Oh my gosh. Yes, you are.
If you I swear to God, you say that one more time, I'm hanging up on you. Everybody listening to this call, except for you, knows that I was not trying to stop you from telling your experience. I'm trying to stop you from telling me what you think my experience was. If you want to tell your experience, as I've said 3 times, you can.
No, I'm not saying that you were trying to stop me. I'm saying when I tell you what I experienced, you're trying to alter it by saying, well, that's not a reliable way to tell if something really happened. So do you see you're muddying?
No, sir. You're confusing the fact that you had an experience. Jose, listen. You are confusing the fact that you had an experience with your explanation of what that experience was. I have not denied. You haven't told me I haven't denied your experience, and I haven't told you you're wrong about your conclusion. All I did was ask you how to know that you're right. That was it.
I feel like there was a little bit more to that than just how do
Well, I don't give a fuck how you feel. Rewind the tape and listen to it, because that's not what happened. I don't know if you had anything else for Dan.
It was mostly with you, but I mean, there's no talking to you. You get hostile with somebody that's trying.
I'm not getting hostile. I'm just not letting you tell me what I think. And I'm not letting you avoid answering the question.
But that's what you're doing to me, Matt. What you're mad about me doing, you're doing it to me.
That sentence made no sense. What am I doing to you?
Okay, so if I told you that I experienced the Holy Spirit, would you believe me?
No, but I would believe that you experienced something and you are calling it the Holy Spirit. I want to know what. Please let me finish. Please let me finish the sentence. Don't you dare interrupt me, because as soon as I start to get in there, you're going to say I'm being hostile, and I'm not. I'm asking. If you experienced something, whatever it was, and you attribute it to the Holy Spirit, my question is, what is the justification for attributing it to the Holy Spirit?
Okay, my justification is knowing what I felt. That's my justification.
Okay. If somebody else has an experience that they feel and they know what they felt and they are convinced it's the Holy Spirit, are they correct?
Obviously, I have a bias towards yes. I would
Okay.
say I have felt that. So how can I deny them what they felt? If I felt the same thing.
You don't know what they felt. I had an experience that I thought was the Holy Spirit. Are you saying that I was correct?
Yes,
How would you know that? How would you possibly know that? Is it possible? This is easy. This will solve the whole thing, I promise. Is it possible for someone to think that they had an experience with the Holy Spirit and actually be wrong?
I wouldn't know that, Matt.
No. I'm asking if it's possible. This is important.
Okay, if it's possible, what?
Is it possible for someone to think that they had an experience with the Holy Spirit, but they are actually wrong?
Yes, anything's possible. I'm
cool.
I assume.
So now we're back to the very beginning of the call where there are two people telling me they had an experience with the Holy Spirit. You have just acknowledged that it's possible that they could be wrong. How do I tell which one of them is right?
You wouldn't be able to.
Okay. How can you tell?
I explained to you already. I would.
I'm sorry, what?
Like I have said for the third time, I don't know either.
Then why are we talking?
Okay, so this is for theists to call in, correct?
Yes, to explain why they believe something. But but hang on.
I think
you are telling me that you don't have a why.
I do. Absolutely. I told you through my experience that I felt the Holy Spirit, and so have millions of people.
So I think Matt's point is, right, if you can't tell between two other people telling you through their experience whether or not, they actually experienced what they said they did, or at least their explanation is true for their experience, then how can we, Matt and I, tell from you that what you're telling us is true if that possibility is still there, that, it may not be true? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, thank you guys, and I guess I'm glad I didn't get hung up. But I mean, I don't want to start quoting Bible verses or quoting Bible this, Bible that, because I understand that. It's just.
Yeah, the thing is, you had an experience, and you think you have a good reason to believe that experience was the Holy Spirit. However,
absolutely,
the thing that you're describing as your good reason, you also acknowledge wouldn't be a good reason for anybody else. Like, it's not a good reason for me to believe you. And the thing is, I had that exact same reason that you did. And then I realized it wasn't a good reason at all, because you claim to believe that it's the Holy Spirit because you know what you experienced.
Yeah. Like Jose,
you can't.
I was going to say, you remember when I brought up the Pentecostals point, and immediately you were like, oh yeah, that's total hooey, right? Like, none of that makes sense. But again, like, that's millions and millions of people's experiences, and that's how they explain it. And if you're so confident in being able to explain that offhand, then who are we to like also do that for yourself, right? Like, I get it. It sounds dismissive. It sounds like we're not being open-minded, but that's genuinely how we feel about a lot of other people's experiences. Yeah. Just because, we don't see the evidence for it either.
And nobody's trying to make you look like an idiot. The only thing we're ever trying to do is to get to the truth. But you came in especially guarded and especially defensive. And it's like, hey, how do I tell the difference between two competing claims?
Even Dan sees the point that I made, that you're very dismissive as far as when somebody wants to tell you that that's what they experience, Matt. So it's not just what I'm
not going to accept their experience. Yes, I'm going to dismiss their experience. I'm going to ask them oh my God, would you shut the fuck up and let me finish? I'm going to ask them why they believe something, and then either they're going to answer or they're not. And you were avoiding it.
It wasn't avoiding. It was, I understand your structure of getting to something, and it's very manipulative in a sense, because
you're full of shit. How dare you call me manipulative? Goodbye. You're done. Blocked, banned, no more calls. We just spent 45 minutes pretty much, on one call. And the whole thing was, how do we demonstrate what's true? And now granted, I've had evidently calls with him before, but to say that it's manipulative just to ask, hey, how do you get to this? And let me go back and explain. I'm baffled.
Yeah, I guess it's just, it is kind of, I think when I was leaving my Christianity, the personal experience argument was really powerful for myself. I definitely had this idea of like the non-overlapping magisteria, the difference between the realm of religion and the realm of science. And I think that's a fallacy a lot of people make. I certainly made that myself, that my experience was somehow outside the realm of scientific validity or scientific probing. But the truth is, I'm a physical human being that lives on Earth just like anybody else, and I'm just as subject to the physical things around me as anybody else. And I can be deceived or manipulated or not even actively so, just passively tricked into thinking something is true when it's not. And we just have to have good ways of figuring out what's true and what isn't. And we may not be perfect all the time, but we can definitely suss out some explanations are better than others.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't consider that, if I used the term wasted a minute ago when I said, I thought I said we spent 45 minutes on a call. I don't consider it wasted at all. I think hopefully Jose got something out of it. We got something out of it, including, bouncing stuff off each other so that I don't get excessively riled up or whatever, because all we're trying to do is get somebody to tell us why they believe. Because if you offer me nothing, why did you call? I mean, I have nothing to evaluate. Literally, Jose's thing, that entire call could have been summed up by him saying, hi, I believe that I've experienced the Holy Spirit. I think I have good reason for it, but I can't demonstrate that to anybody. That 45-minute call that's done in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have thought the same way a couple of years ago, and I would have wondered how anybody would have convinced me. And then if I realized I can't convince anybody else, then it's kind of a moot point. Yeah.
The difference, though, is that when you were presented with questions, you actually considered them and evaluated them. And this is
eventually, but it wasn't at first.
No.
Yeah.
But I've seen the video. And your conversation was significantly more honest and open and accepting from the get-go than Jose, I think Jose's just terrified of the possibility of finding out that maybe he doesn't have the good reason he thinks he does.
Maybe. I can't speak for Jose.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's feeling or whatever. But if you are still watching Jose, I hope you do consider, what we're saying here. At least I hope we got a point across, and we'll just go from there. See what works for you.